Electricast.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
On this episode of Missing the Point, we give our preview of the college football playoffs. We'll take a look at the teams that got in, whether more teams should have been added, and whether Ohio State really deserves to be in contention for a championship after only playing in 6 games. We'll preview the matchups between Clemson taking on Ohio State and Alabama taking on Notre Dame. We'll break down which teams have the edge and which team will end up raising the College Football Playoffs National Championship Trophy. We'll also give our thoughts on who will win the Heisman Trophy. Will Trevor Lawrence collect one more piece of hardware before potentially heading to the Jacksonville Jaguars? Or could a wide receiver win it for the first time since Desmond Howard in 1991? Stay tuned to find out. But first, some housekeeping. Missing the Point is a 1-hour podcast recapping the biggest stories in the world of sports with a New England flavor. The show notes and transcript from today's episode can be found in the description box below, as well as on our website, www.mtpshow.com. If you're new to the show, please consider subscribing. It's the easiest way to see when we publish new episodes. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to rate us and leave a review of any of our shows. We always appreciate your feedback. Let us know how we're sounding and how we can sound better. Also, be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. All of our links will be in the show notes. And check out our brand new website, www.mtpshow.com. That's mtpshow.com. And now, this is Missing the Point, episode 28. But it's all relative.
Welcome into Missing the Point. I am your host, Michael Marcangelo, and on this episode, we are talking about the college football playoffs. What a great title for a great tournament. And we're talking about the top 25, the snubs. We're going to preview all the games. We're also going to talk about the Heisman. I am joined by the real BK Bob Kelly, by Rayshawn Buchanan. Don't care how you are. I want to know right off the top, what is your issue with the top 4 teams that were selected and who was snubbed the most? Bobby, go ahead.
My biggest issue, so it's not necessarily a specific snub for a team. I do think there's a few teams that deserve to be in there, but that's not my biggest issue with what happened, with how everything went down. My biggest issue is the fact that there is a team that played 6 games in the national championship tournament. I get Ohio State is the best team. I get it. They're one of the better teams in the country. They have a great, phenomenal quarterback. They have a great defense, a great coach. They didn't earn it. That's the thing that really gets to me the most. I would have liked to see Texas A&M. I would have liked to see Cincinnati, Georgia. There's a few teams to me that I think earned it more than they did. Granted, I know that they're a better football team on paper, but when it comes to earning yourself in a tournament that is based off of rankings and not necessarily standings and like your head-to-head matchups like it is in the NFL. It's based off of like opinion and rankings. So to me, like when it comes down to that, you need to earn your way in. And I don't think Ohio State did that. That's my biggest issue. From the get-go, it's just like I don't see how you can logically put a team that played 6 games in a national championship tournament. I just don't see it.
I guess for me, before we go over to Rayshawn, like you always talk about on this show and in our conversations, right? Like you can only play the teams that are in front of you. They were only scheduled. I mean, they only were handed 6 games. They won them all. So, Ray, like, do they deserve to be there?
No, they don't. And
granted, that's awesome that they went 6-0, but they got in because of their name, and so did Notre Dame. So let me not just make it an Ohio State bashing here, right? Yes, they went 10-1. I mean, yes, that's great. They were in the ACC for this year because of because of COVID related issues, but to go 10-1, and yes, I know they beat Clemson earlier in the year, but as we know, that happened without Trevor Lawrence that first time around because Trevor Lawrence was involved in the COVID protocol at that time. So when he came back, they smacked him, and it was 34-10. So I'm not sure any other team that got smacked 34-10. They said, hey, nice year, but too bad. We'll see you in another time. So that leads to a question I think Mike's probably going to ask us. And, should they extend the college football playoffs? And to me personally, that answer is yes. I don't know how you feel about it, Bobby, or Mike, but they have to extend the playoff system because my thing is Ohio State or Notre Dame to me should not be involved in it this year. And like I said, only because of Ohio State only playing 6 games, like they really moved around the rules just for them. And I'm not here for that, just for them to get smacked in the first round because they're not winning this weekend whenever they play. So, but I know we'll touch on it.
I mean, wouldn't adding more teams create like the March Madness like effect? Like, wouldn't it make more sense to have like 10, 8 to 10 teams, right? And then there's going to be one team that you don't expect to win that doesn't have a shot that does, right? That's why everyone.
Yeah, but isn't that why we love March Madness?
Yeah, no, I was saying that. So I'm agreeing with you. I think the 4-team playoff selection, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's recently just been the Alabama, the Alabama show. Really, I mean that's all it's been.
It's Alabama, Clemson every year. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. Those 3.
So, like, if you want to create more of maybe notoriety and more of an interest nationwide, like, add more teams because everybody loves a Cinderella story or the unlikely story, right? And it can't happen if everybody's just cherry picking the 4 most notable names in college football.
Right, but what other teams like? Because my thing is, okay, the Pac-12 hasn't had a dominant team in a while,
years.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like Oregon was in the championship game the year they beat Cam or lost to Cam.
Wouldn't this be the year to have those teams in there? Because for the first time ever, like they only played conference games, so no one knows who would have done better against what conference, right? Nobody knows.
Yeah, but I mean, USC or UCLA or Herm Edwards in Arizona State, those teams wasn't going to beat anybody in the SEC or the ACC. We know that, and yes, we know any given Saturday, right? I get, or any given Friday night, I understand that, but. Those guys those teams weren't going to come into anybody's stadium. Would they have put up 30 or 40? Sure, because college football is a wide open game. But I'm not thinking that any team from the Pac-12 or even the Big 12 for that matter, because the Big 12 they find a way to get in there, whether it's TCU or Oklahoma, or Texas, and then when this mattered most. Or Baylor for that matter too. They're up giving 55 points to a team that they shouldn't give up 55 points to. So it's ridiculous.
So are you advocating for more teams in the playoffs, but less teams that deserve to be there? That's what it kind of sounded like to me. I
guess it's kind of a weird argument, but I do stand by the point that there should be more teams involved. I think they have to solidify even further what the actual credentials are, if I'm going to be clear about it, right? So right now, I just think that if you have the big name, you're getting in, right? But as we're going to talk about in a few, there's some teams that have the big names and are in big time conferences that are not getting that bid. And it's just like, they shouldn't be on the outside looking in, but they are. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I just think, Mike, to go back to what you said earlier is like, if there's any year to do it, to me, I'm shocked the NCAA didn't do it because we all know what the NCAA is about. We know what there always will be about, and that's about their money. So to me, like the way that they set it up this year, I think that they just failed themselves because I think they could have expanded this playoffs and it could have been an amazing television event. But instead we just have the same 4 teams that people say is controversial that aren't it. You know what I mean? It's just like they created controversy that they didn't need to in a year where if they did expand this, they would have gotten so much publicity and just so much positive reaction from expanding this playoffs. And having a team like, I know they lost to Liberty this past weekend, but having a team like a Coastal Carolina, I know they'd get absolutely smoked. But who wouldn't love to see the possibility of Coastal Carolina going up against Alabama in that first round game? Like I would 100
To do
But
what?
I would 100% tune in because you know what? You never know. You never know. Remember, was it even Coastal Carolina? No, it was Florida Gulf, not Florida Gulf Coast.
No, I know exactly what you're
You
gonna
know what
bring
I
up.
mean? Like they.
Oh, no, it's I know yeah. I'll help out the listeners at home. So what Bobby was talking about, we got to take you all the way back to 2007 at the Big House. They had Mike Hart. The Appalachian State come into the Big House, and our Monty Edwards, who played quarterback for Appalachian State, just went ape shit on the Michigan defense, ran all over them, threw for whatever he wanted. But I remember watching that because it was like on College Game Day Live or whatever, and they had that going on. So talking about almost 14 years ago that happening, like it's very rare that happens. And I know some people that went to Coastal Carolina not to play football. I mean, we all know people that went to Coastal Carolina because that was like a Dean like a Dean pipe one. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like Dean South. But I just think to me like it's Coastal Carolina. Like nah, like I don't know. Yes, they played down south. I get it, but for them to be in a game against Alabama, now I get it from a financial standpoint for them. Sure, that makes perfect sense because those schools, they get paid to go up to schools, to bigger schools, and they get a share of that money. I'm not mad at that, but to come up there and maybe lose 48-7, because we know what Alabama does. If you had said maybe against like an Ohio State or even a Michigan or Michigan State, all right, cool. But I guess Alabama, Roll Tide, you know what Mac Jones and them boys would do to them. You know it, Bobby. You know what they would do to them. It would be over in the first quarter, bro.
Just think of you're right. When Coastal Carolina would get that money too, is like it would have benefited so many different aspects of college football and college athletics for them to expand it this year. And I just think it's disappointing they didn't. That's all.
So basically, I think we've come to the conclusion that the top 25 and like the college football playoffs, it just lacks parity. Like it's just always the same 4 teams, right? So, I mean, I think this year, because there was an expectation of this is the year that anything can happen, anything has happened. We all know it. Maybe there was going to be an exception. A lot of people freaked out over the fact that, Notre Dame or Ohio State, probably mostly Ohio State, made the playoffs instead of a team like I think the snub for me is Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Bearcats. I mean, they went 9-0. They won the American Athletic Conference. It's not a great division. It's not the fact that they didn't get in. It's the fact that they weren't even considered. Like it never even dawned on them, on the people that picked these teams, to say, you know what, 9-0, 7-0, home, 2-0 away. They just did everything that they needed to do, and they put them behind a team like Florida, who was 8-3. 8-3, a 3-loss team is ahead of a 9-0 team.
I will try to take my bias out of it. Everyone, yes, I am from Boston, born and raised, but not on the playground where I spent the most of my days, but I'm a Gator. That is ever since the Chris Leak days, like that is my team. It's like, look, now, yes, we lost some games that we shouldn't have, yes, but
you lost 2 in a row and are still ranked.
But we also lost to Alabama, so it's it's not like this. To me, there's no shame in losing to Alabama, but there's always some games that we leave on the table every year under the Dan Mullen era. Our defensive coordinator needs to go too, but I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna get emotional tonight. It's hard for me to put. Okay, perfect example, right? You're saying that Cincinnati was a snub. Okay, I mean, I guess that's a cute Cinderella story. It's the same thing for UCF a couple of years ago. They were 13-0. They were 13-0, and they was like, you know what? And they so much they was raising up their own little trophy, like, we're the real national champions, so on and so forth. So it's like they're not going to give those particular schools or those. They're not mid majors because you're D1, but it's like they're not going to give those type of schools that type of notoriety. Because once again, and even though, and granted, one of my former students went to UCF, so Kenny, one of my favorite students, my boy. But I'm sorry, brother, if y'all went against Alabama or somebody from the ACC, they would have waxed y'all ass from beginning to end. I'm sorry, like it is what it is. So you my dog, you one of the best students I ever had, bro. I'm just telling you, it'd have been over. So it's the same thing with Cincinnati. If Cincinnati is somehow snuck in as the 4 to replace Notre Dame, once again, it's the same thing that we would have. What Bobby just talked about with Coastal Carolina. What do you think Cincinnati was going to do against Alabama? Please, I'm listening.
Well, hold on. Well, let's just assume. What if they got 3? What if they got the 3 seed, and they don't play Alabama?
They face Clemson.
Yeah.
they would get Trevor. Like I can't even get out of sentence because
dude, I'm just saying.
Trevor Lawrence is the best player in all of college football.
That's a fact.
It's like not an opinion. That's a fact. So even if Cincinnati rose up to be 3, Trevor, once again, he's going to work. There's nothing they can do. They may score 14 points. Okay, bravo, round of applause. You get a participation trophy. The competition matters, bro. It matters. I'm sorry, it matters.
Ray, if every team that we've talked about so far gets smacked by Alabama or Clemson, why are we going to let more teams into the playoffs if it's already a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose?
You get more competitive games, not necessarily about who's winning.
Not with the number 1 seed. Not if Alabama's in it, apparently.
But you only brought up your snub, and I think Bobby said his. I didn't say mine. Like, Texas A&M was 8-1, and their only loss as well was to Alabama.
You want their second loss to be to Alabama too?
No, I'm saying, but no, you said you extended it. So my thing is, 6-3. Could they beat Ohio State? Sure, they could beat Ohio State. Because Justin Fields is more up and down than my weight. It's just that simple. So that's just what it is. So and I know some people, they go crazy over Ohio State, but I want to make it clear on this show for those that watch college football, there has not been a good quarterback to come out of Ohio State. Not in recent memory, not in history. Y'all have had good running. You have had good running backs. You've had good wide receivers. You've had good defensive linemen. You've had good defensive backs. Quarterbacking is not y'all specialty. It's just not the case.
You're not high on Justin Fields?
I'm not. I was coming into the year. I was. I think that he played really well last year, transferring from UGA. And I don't blame him for leaving Athens. Outside of the food, there's not much out there. So I don't blame him for that. But coming up to Columbus at the shoehorn, they expect you to win. So they won with the Jim Tressel era. They won with Urban Meyer. So to me, Justin Fields was better than some of those guys that they had in the past. So whether he was better than the Haskins, in my opinion, better than JT Barrett. I'm trying to remember the guy that they had a quarterback when they beat Miami back in the day with Maurice Claret. I forget.
Craig Krenzel.
Craig Krenzel, yeah. I was going to say Jim Tressel, but that was the coach. So, yeah, my bad. Yeah, so, yeah, good. So good. Nice cleanup there, Bobby, for me. Yeah.
Doctor at quarterback, bro. That dude was the smartest quarterback in the history of college
exactly.
football.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just like, to me, they don't produce that. So, yeah, do I think Texas A&M at a 6 seed could beat a 3 seed that was 6-0 and didn't have real competition because they didn't play out the schedule, not because they couldn't play real competition. They didn't play enough games. So, I do think that's feasible. So, and as we said before the show, or we might have said it while we got on, but it's like it has been the Alabama Invitational. It has, because Nick Saban continuously brings Alabama brings that smoke. They just do. They want the smoke, and year in and year out, they find talent. We're going to talk about the Heisman stuff later on. They got a guy on their team, well, 2 guys on that team that really steal the show on a weekly basis. But I don't know. Like I said, I still stand by. There should be more teams in there. That's just to have more competitive games. But to me, Texas A&M was a snub, and I felt like they could have made some noise had they been a 6 seed.
All right, Bobby, who's your snub?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with who you brought up at first, and that's Cincinnati, man. They started out. So what bothers me the most about it is they started out undefeated in the first rankings at number 7. So you see them at number 7 when the first rankings come out, and you're like, okay. Couple teams losing ahead of them, maybe they could jump them. Literally every single team ahead of them has lost since then, and they still didn't jump them. Like, you look at Notre Dame, they just got waxed by Clemson, absolutely smoked, and they get in. Texas A&M, they lost to Ray. Who did you just say they lost to? They lost to Alabama. Oklahoma has lost to Alabama. All these teams that are surrounding Cincinnati have lost games since these rankings came out, and it's just like, what are we really doing here? It's like, that's when you expect every single year, you expect these teams to jump up into these rankings. And it's like, how can you not let Cincinnati into that? And it's like, the Ohio State thing is just really what bothers me. It's like, it's just, you can't let a team in that's 6-0 and expect If they win these 2 games and they're 8-0, and you have teams that have played 11, 12 games, you're telling me that an 8-0 team deserves to be a champion over teams that have played 12, 13 games that have actually gone through a season? That's crazy. You know what I mean? The NCAA couldn't have got this more wrong putting them in there, man.
Are you more upset that they got in, or that the governing body changed the rules to get them in?
That's what it is they changed the rules to get them in because, like, isn't the Pac-10 ineligible for national championship consideration right now because they didn't play enough games? And you're going to change the rules just so Ohio State can get in?
But to be fair, like we said, there's nobody in the Pac-12 that's worth seeing right now. Anyways, right now. This is not 2005 anymore.
6-0, man. You're going to put 6-0?
But no, I get it. But I mean, once again, and I asked this to both of y'all. Do you think that Cincinnati would have beaten Notre Dame? Would they have beat Ohio State? Do you like with a straight face? Do you really believe that if they came in there tomorrow, it was like, all right, we're 9-0, we're playing well. Do you guys really believe they would have gave Clemson or Notre Dame a game?
I think that for a team that's average margin of victory was like 23 points a game, I think they might have a shot. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think it could make it interesting, though. I think they could be that Appalachian State, right?
I think they earned it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think.
They're better. They're better than that Appalachian State team. Like, I don't want to sound like
I meant like the story, though. Like you said, that we're talking about 13 years ago. If there was ever a year to have a once in a lifetime event, is it not 2020? I mean, haven't we all learned that 2020 is a year for once in a lifetime, once in generational things? I think moving on to start previewing the games, right? Because New Year's Day is going to be jam packed with college football. The first game on the docket is going to be Alabama versus Notre Dame. Obviously, we all know Alabama 11-0. Nick Saban is first of all, he doesn't even need to be on premise to coach for the team to win. Like, remember, he was yelling at his television because he had COVID twice, and he could not participate in the events, and they still won. I think some of the storylines here are, Alabama, if you look at it, and Notre Dame are kind of built similarly, but Alabama's just better. I mean, they are a factory for the NFL. The teams have the 2 best offensive lines in college football, as well as 2 of the best front sevens on the other side of the ball. I will say, I think the keys to the game are that Notre Dame is going to try and slow this game down, and Alabama, with Mac Jones and Devonta Smith, they're just going to try and speed it up and run all over them. I mean, I think this opened up as Alabama was a 17-point favorite. So, for you, Ray, I'll go to you because I started with Bobby last time. What are your expectations of this game? Is it going to be a blowout, or is there a chance that Notre Dame, has a chance?
I think you just brought it up, right? So I know this is a rematch of the 2012 national championship.
2013.
2013, yeah. So. I think that's where the Monte Teo story came out, right?
Could be.
And the irony of that whole situation was that he
was a no-show for the game, just like his girlfriend.
The team was a no-show, and so was his girlfriend. So it's just like, wow, what do you know? But I do think we'll have a similar outcome. The only difference is I think that Notre Dame will start out hot. And everyone will be on Twitter going crazy. Our group chat will be going crazy. Like, man, are you seeing this? Ray, I told you it's not the Alabama Invitational. And I'll sit there. Like,
I think we all told you that it was, though.
Right. No, I'm saying about somebody will be on Twitter saying that it wasn't because we'll live tweet during the game. And I'll play the role of Stephen A. just saying, sit back, relax, give it time. Because Alabama with Mac Jones and Devonta Smith and and Najee Harris. That offense is crazy, and we know what the defense does. So, like I said, Notre Dame will start out hot, and I'll say it'll be 17-10 Notre Dame at the half, and then I can see Alabama scoring like 30 straight and win 40-17.
That would be a wild game because I think that in that 2013 game, didn't Alabama score the first 35 points? They had like 500.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was a joke.
530 yards of offense, and they held Notre Dame to what was like 32 yards of rushing for the entire game.
What was it? Wasn't Trent Richardson on that team, Bobby? Was Trent Richardson on the team?
That was Trent Richardson.
I mean, and like I said, Trent Richardson, okay, at Alabama, I mean, we know he was a bust as a pro, but Trent Richardson at Alabama was really special. Like,
He was a man.
That one run that he had running down the sideline where he zigzagged, he made that man bow down to him on the floor. I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "Oh, this man is special." But then he gets to Indianapolis and he basically becomes the what's the guy? He becomes the Brian Bosworth of of running backs and just can't do anything. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I just think it's gonna be a wrap. Alabama's just they're too big, too fast, too strong, too good.
But one thing I'll say before I kick it over to you, Bobby, is you mentioned, Ray, like we all know what that defense is gonna do. I mean, they're allowing 19.5 points a game, but if you really look at it, 3 of their 4 games against a top 25 team, they've allowed more than 24 points a game. So they are vulnerable. But that doesn't take into consideration, like, are those garbage time? Like, are those garbage time points?
Oh no, I mean, you still give it up though. I mean, I don't believe in that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to stop the other team. Like, so it doesn't matter whether you're up 30 or, I mean, that does, I guess, because of context of we're saying that. But vulnerable, sure. Will that take them out of it? I don't know. Like I said, to me, Saban's knock to me was always offensive. Like teams are nervous because of that defense. Their defense was always crazy. But now, as of late, Saban's had a hell of a run offensively. Jerry Jeudy, that dude Waddle they got. Listen, hey, Bill, hey, this is not the Patriots podcast, but if you find Waddle later on in the second round and that man is there, get that man. That dude is a dance instructor on the field. My God, go get that man because you're not going to get the other receiver they got because he's going to go in the top 5. But go get Waddle. That dude is special. You want to replace him for number 11? That's the guy right there. You heard it here first.
Yeah, no. So that was perfect segue because you literally just went into right exactly what I was going to say. Is the thing with this Alabama team is like it's not your I was going to say your grandpa's Alabama team, but it's not our 2012 Alabama team anymore. This isn't the greatest game on earth, 7-3 against LSU, Alabama anymore. This is Mac Jones, Devonta Smith, Najee Harris. It's not headlined by that defense anymore. And it's been like this for the past few years. It's headlined by the big plays they make. You know what I mean? We've seen this in Tua, Jalen Hurts. It's just, I don't know if it's that they changed the way they're recruiting, but it's not that same, or it's just a different way NFL or NCAA football is played now. It's not the same teams it used to be. You know what I mean? It's not the Devontae Hightower Alabamas anymore, where they're just absolutely dominating teams in the defensive end. They don't need to do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they put up 40 to 50 points almost every single game I've watched them this year.
I mean, Mac Jones' stat line reads as this: 32 touchdowns, 4 picks, 3,700 yards passing.
Unreal. Even though he won't do that in the NFL, but he's really good right now.
I think what's more impressive though, is Devonta Smith. He only going into the SEC championship game. He had 106 targets. He had 2 drops all season. Of those, I mean that's wild. So
61. You have here in the notes 61 of his 83 receptions are for first downs. Are you serious?
So that's 75% of his catches. That's insane. I mean,
so I think for all of us, we don't want to beat a dead horse here. Is there a chance that Notre Dame wins? Sure,
right, yeah, sure. Just for content, sure. There's a chance.
You can never have too much of that, but in reality, this has all the makings to be an Alabama 45, Notre Dame 21 game. I think it's going to be an absolute rout by Nick Saban's team, and I think that once again we're going to find the Crimson Tide in the actual championship game. I don't know if you guys feel any differently.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, like I just said, this isn't AJ McCarron's Alabama anymore. You know what I mean? This isn't that team that's going to put up 22 points and you could possibly upset if you have a good offensive day. No. If you want to beat this team, you got to show up and you got to score some damn points. And I think that's what puts them ahead of the dominant teams that we saw back in the day. I think these Alabama teams are on a different level, man.
Right, but you know what it is too, Bobby? Like, because I think about the notable losses they've had. So I think in 2010 when they lost to Auburn during Cam Newton's just special year, Cam Newton might have been the best player we've ever seen in college, especially that season anyways. I think he had like 48 touchdowns or total touchdowns that year. Like
the whole season was absurd.
The whole season, yeah, it's unreal. Like it really was a man amongst boys, and he just did whatever he wanted against Alabama. Like, so if you don't have that type of athlete, and then obviously when even though he once again didn't do much in the NFL, but Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, when he was at Texas A&M, people forget he was running around doing stuff, looking like a wizard. He was looking really good.
Brett Favre.
Exactly.
Even the Georgia teams that just lost to them in the championship 2 years ago that gave him a great game. Look at that team, man. Their Georgia team had Calvin Ridley. They had Michelle. They had Nick Chubb. You know what I mean? They had guys that could keep up with this offense, and that's why they took them to where they were. Notre Dame, Ian Book isn't doing it. You know what I mean? He's not taking them to that glory land. He's not doing it.
Just so that everyone out there knows, Ian Book's stats aren't great. I mean, he's good, right? I just don't think he's great. He's this year we have 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 2,600 yards passing for Notre Dame. So I mean, it's just I think he's a mediocre or average college quarterback, which means he's going to probably he's not going to have much of a career in the NFL, and he doesn't really pose a threat to Alabama. Moving on, game number 2, just right on. Bye.
Right on cue. See you later.
The final line for that game right now is 20.5, which is like the Kansas City Chiefs playing the New York Jets. That's the type of confidence Vegas has in Alabama in this game right now.
I mean, it opened at 17.5.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane, dog.
Yeah.
No, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That's wild.
Second game of the night, we have I think they call it is it the Sugar Bowl now? Is that what it is? We have the Clemson Tigers versus the 6-0 Ohio State Buckeyes. I think for any college football fan, you can only hope that Clemson Ohio State Part 2 is as good as it was last year, right? That's the hope. I mean, I think in last season's college football playoff semifinal, Clemson, didn't they come back from like a 16 or 17 point deficit and win with Trevor Lawrence and like a 35-yard touchdown pass? That's what we need. Like if there is a game that will provide you with that New Year's Day revitalization as you're all hungover, unable to get out of bed, it's probably going to be this game, right? Because this game it's pretty much, it opened at a Clemson. They're favored at 6.5 points. I don't know what it is anymore. This game smells to me
way too low.
Is there
It's a touchdown now, 7.
Is there a chance that Ohio State can upset Clemson and go on to? I mean, because wouldn't that be the narrative, right? Is that they don't deserve to be there? They're only won 6 games, and then they beat the football team that has, not the Washington team, but a football team with the greatest player in college football right now, Trevor Lawrence. What does that say about Ohio State? What does it say about everything?
I just hope.
You don't want it to happen.
I hope it doesn't. Yeah, I just hope that doesn't happen because I'm so disappointed with Ohio State being in there that I hope Clemson waxes them. I think they're going to because I think the Clemson team that we saw against Notre Dame and the team we saw the first 6 weeks is the real Clemson team. When Lawrence went out, you definitely saw a change. Whether it be the COVID or whether it be because they just didn't have their star quarterback. Even when he came back, they definitely didn't look the same until last week. This team is loaded with weapons. I love ETN. He's been one of my favorite college running backs for the past 3-4 years since he came in as a freshman. I really like this Clemson team, and you guys know how I feel about Trevor Lawrence. I think this game's not even going to be close. I think the 7 is too small. If I was betting man, which we all know I am, I'm taking Clemson. Absolutely, I'm taking Clemson.
Do you think that, or do you hope that?
I think that. I really do. Because I think Trevor Lawrence is too much for this Ohio State team. You know what I mean? I guess I haven't seen this exact Ohio State team much this year, especially because they've only played 6 games. I don't know if I've said that yet, but I just think he's gonna take them over this entire game. I think Trevor Lawrence is the best player in college football, and I think you're gonna see it after this weekend.
There's always a chance. So so you're saying there's a chance. Yes, there's a chance that they do something this weekend. But to me, let's say it's slim to none. It's slim to none. It's like it's unbelievable. Once again, like I said, we all have agreed they shouldn't be in this moment. But I know a lot of people from Ohio, a lot, and it's like a whole lot of shit. It's a whole lot because they took Urban Meyer. They took Urban Meyer from they took Urban Meyer from my Gators. So they talk real crazy. So T Law, Sunshine, Ronnie Bass, I need you to dominate. I need you to throw that pitch left. I need you to throw that ball a mile. I need that. Left side, strong side. I need you to beat their
I like that Sunshine reference, bro.
Yes, I need it. I need it, Trev. I need it. Like I want him to throw 50 on him. I want 50. Like hell, you could get to 60, Trev. I want it to be an annihilation of epic proportions. Like that's what I want. And like Bobby said, listen, that's the better sign of respect to Ohio State because Ohio State has been what they've been. Clemson's winning this by at least 2 touchdowns. At least. This shit should be over at the half. Bands on the field. The bands should be on the field playing whatever they want to play. Hail to Ohio, whatever you want to play. It's over. It's over. The coronation will happen on Friday night. It's over.
I think especially if the Buckeyes aren't healthy, right? Because I think in their last game they had 22 players that were sidelined for various reasons. So let's just assume that not everyone is able to take the field. Again, I think that this makes the governing body look terrible if they put a 6-0 team in there to get smoked, right? That reaffirms everything that we're talking about on the show. They got in because their name is the Ohio State, right? That's it. That is it. That there is no other reason as to why that they're in this. And I think that Justin Fields last year, the guy was a baller, right? 3,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, 3 picks. This year, we got 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. Again, only 6 games. I think he is a very, very dynamic player. I think he is I would say a great college football player. But for me, and I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about this, Bobby. I think if you're a team that has only played 6 times in the span of the last 5 months, it's hard to have formed a rhythm to go against the greatest college football player currently right there now in Trevor Lawrence. So if this is a blowout, how bad does this make the decision to put Ohio State in the tournament look?
It looks really bad. I can already see the tweets. You know what I mean? You can already see the Texas A&M players, the Cincinnati players being like, we could have lost 42-0.
Yeah.
We could have lost 35-0. You know what I mean? Like I can already see them out there. And it's like, I really believe that is going to happen because even this Ohio State team, yeah, they're 6-0. Yeah, they're the Ohio State. Yeah, they were in the playoffs last year. And it's pretty much, besides the 22 players that were missing, the same team from last year.
Yep.
But listen, even this year in the games against good teams, like this team hasn't shown up. You know what I mean? Like even last week against, they were playing, was it Northwestern? Northwestern, they barely beat. I mean, they beat them by 2 touchdowns, but they beat them undecisively. It was like the Chiefs this last weekend, where you're like, is that team playing well? Like, what's going on with them? And then they haven't. Has Ohio State played a top team so far this year at all? So I just don't believe. I don't see it from them this year. I just don't see it, and I really think the NCAA looks bad by the end of this, and we're going to see those tweets happening. It's going to happen.
It'll be a Mickey Mouse championship if they win.
Yeah.
Just like, Ohio fans, listen to me. Just like a lot of y'all in basketball was clowning y'all prodigal son LeBron for that Mickey Mouse championship. It'll be a Mickey Mouse championship for y'all if y'all finish 8-0 and win your little national championship. It'll be Mickey Mouse for y'all too.
So it sounds like it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like if they win, it's like screw the governing body for letting them in. If they get trounced, it's like, see, we told you, like screw you for letting them in. There's really no.
I mean, it's definitely personal for me. It's personal.
Yeah, you can't tell, dude.
Right, it's definitely personal. So please, Trevor Lawrence, handle your business, man. Do your job, please.
It's only personal for me against the NCAA. That's what they just annoy me because it's like they just push all the time that, they don't push it, but we know that the way that they run things is about money. And it's like, okay, we get it. You put up the Ohio State in, but if there's any year that people are going to want to see that expanded tournament, that people are going to want to see these teams actually get a chance to win a championship, it's this year. So it's just like they couldn't have failed more all around, and I hope that's just solidified when it comes time for the end of this game, when it's 35-0 Clemson, and people are like, "Well."
But I want to make it clear because I think we talked about it being 6 teams. Like I want 8. So if you want to do it how like the NFL does it, where they
two
give
buys,
two buys, that's fine. I want that. That would be the better scenario. So make it 8 teams. So, then Bobby can get his Coastal Carolinas in there, to get smacked by 40 points.
They wouldn't make it, but Cincinnati would because Coastal Carolina was ranked a little bit lower. But it's okay.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry. So the Bearcats can get Bearcat down and lose.
But it's like, but it would have been worth it it's worth it. I know this is like a bigger conversation for like about all of college football and how they should expand this, but it would be worth it for that 1 year. You know what I mean?
No, going forward though, not 1 year though.
Right, but I mean, like, for that 1 year it does happen. You know what I mean? Yes, 9 out of 10 years, that 8 team is going to lose by 40 points. It's going to happen. But that one time that 8 seed takes that 1 seed down or that takes that top team down, it would be the best story in sports, and we'd be talking about it the entire year. So it's like, guys, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? You want to make money? Make your money. Just do it right.
So, Ray, I think you're the only person that I know, besides me, that could argue and advocate for having more teams in a playoff scenario and then say that trash teams that go 9-0 shouldn't be in there because they're going to get smoked. Like, I just don't know. So it doesn't seem like there's a way to make you happy here.
No, there is a way to make me happy. Ohio State can lose this weekend. I'll be happy. But
I guess if Ohio State loses and Florida was in there, you'd be really happy. Really.
Of course. But okay. So now because now you're putting me on a couch. Now I got to go to therapy. All right. So if Florida was the 7th to 8th seed, yeah, of course. Let my Gators come in there because my guy Kyle Trask, another former student.
I like Kyle Trask, man. I like Kyle Trask.
Oh man, should be the Heisman. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that shortly. But they got my guy for another couple of years. One of my former students, Naquan Wright. I'm proud of you, big homie. I got to send this to you when this is done. But proud of you, man.
That's real. Wait, rewind. No, you know a Florida Gator?
Yeah, Naquan Wright, my former, one of my former students, taught him in 10th grade. He's now, one player of the year down there in Miami, and won the state championship down there as well. Their junior year, I think. And so known him for a while. Still keep in touch with him actually to this day, actually. So yeah, he's a really good kid, really good player. They got some guys ahead of him, so it's been. He's got some opportunities this year, but he got his first touchdown this year, so that was dope. But so it's like I just want them to keep grinding. So like I say, it's personal for me, not just because that's my team, but I got kids that I had that play for them that I want them to do well. So and then to add the icing on the cake, we have and once again biased, but I feel others agree with me when they hear this. We have the best tight end in all of college football, Kyle Pitts. 6'6", 245, and you can't teach that. Okay, so you can't teach it. So he runs like a wide receiver. Once again, I don't want to turn it into an NFL show, but if you're there at 14, Kyle Pitts, I would love to see you wear number 84 for the red, silver, and blue up here in Foxborough. That would be phenomenal because we need you badly. Ossie and Keenan not the answer, but like I said, we're not going to get into that. But
you want to see Jared Stidham throw it 5 yards in front of him into the ground. That's what you want to see.
No. Listen, you're not going to get me pissed off right now. I don't want to talk about that. But we need 84 up here though. We need
Well, before we get to the Heisman talk, can we at least just get to our championship game predictions, please?
Okay, so can I start? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. So we all have Alabama versus Clemson. Who wins and why?
So I'm gonna go. So as much as I can't stand Ohio State. I cannot stand Alabama even more. Why? Because they're in the SEC, like my Florida Gators.
Because they're better.
No, listen, it's not about them. Yes, there's moments when they have been better. Obviously, that's not the. It's been a long time since we won in 2006.
By moments, you mean seasons, maybe even a decade.
No, we got some victories in between it. Let's not go crazy. But yes, they've been national champion. They've done some other stuff. So yes, they've been on top. Like I said, since Urban Meyer left, they've had a much better time than we did. But that's neither here nor there. And to me, they always, for the most part, have a cupcake schedule. But once again, I know, Bobby, you play who's in front of you. I get it, but they do have a cupcake schedule. When you play guys in fucking Central Michigan, that are like 8-1, thinking like, oh, we beat the Central Michigan team. I'm like, dude, like they've had one pro come out of there, and that was Antonio Brown 10 years ago. Relax. But anyways, I got Clemson winning this mainly because I think Trevor Lawrence, once again, you need that special type of player to beat Alabama. And whether it was Deshaun Watson, Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, Trevor Lawrence is in that. He's in that mode. He's in that category. So I got Clemson winning. I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. I'll say Clemson wins 40-37.
Okay. All right, Bobby, who do you got?
So I don't want to go chalk here, and I don't want to just go completely agree here, but I'm going to completely agree. I think Clemson is the better team here. Let's remember that Clemson didn't lose much. They have pretty much the same playmakers, the same person running the offense, and absolutely the same coach running the team. Of a team that beat Alabama, I don't know if anyone remembers this, 44-16 last year. Granted, Tua was banged up. I know it wasn't the same Alabama team we had seen all year.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. They still had a team, but it's still right. But it's still Bama. You know what I mean? It's still Bama. Don't discredit it. Yeah, it was
4-60, and when it comes down to it, this team is just better. You know what I mean? I know that they had rough spots this year. They almost lost to BC. All these things, but listen, what did I say last week on the live show? Success through adversity, and this team showed that. Yes, they lost that one game, but it was a great game, and they didn't have their full team, and they still almost pulled that game out. Success through adversity. Clemson is going to smoke them.
Let me ask you a question, Ray. I mean, I know school's in session, so my hand's raised. I'm asking a question here. If Alabama were to, let's say, blow out Clemson, right, because Trevor Lawrence gets injured in this game, would you say don't discredit it because, it doesn't matter, they still have a team? Or do you say that Clemson lost because Trevor Lawrence wasn't on the field? Because I just feel like your hatred for Alabama is overcoming you. And you're just not looking at this objectively.
Okay, so let me be subjective then. The guy, I forget the backup's name, but that backup played phenomenal in Trevor Lawrence's absence. Like he was great. Now, will he do what Deshaun Watson did and some other guys did to Alabama? No. Would they lose to them? Sure, but I do think that he would make it respectable. So instead of it being 40-37, like I have Clemson winning, I think that Alabama probably would win like 40-27 instead. Because that kid's going to score. They scored. I remember that BC game. Like he was doing
DJ Uga.
Yeah, Uga. Umaga, whatever. Who shoots out a championship? But I just think that that's just what it is. So subjectively, no. I mean, listen, it's hard to win a championship at any level. So let me just put on the professor cap and not be the hater or be biased. Subjectively, it's hard to win a championship. Nick Saban year in and year out has done what he needs to do from a recruitment standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from a mentorship standpoint. So this would be the last thing that I say nice about them. So Mike, screw you. But they will win. If he's to go down, instead of them winning by a field goal, meaning Clemson, I think they would lose 40-27 to Alabama. If that's the case. But it won't be something where it's watered down because they won.
So you both have Clemson beating Alabama. I have Alabama beating Clemson. I think the final score of this game is going to be somewhere around like 45-35. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be reasonably close. I just think that
double digits though.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones and Devonta Smith are just too much. I just think that those two are better than Trevor Lawrence is by himself, if that makes sense. And for me, I think that they're going to be that's a dynamic duo. I think if we get this game, it sounds like everyone thinks that this is going to be the game. There's going to be no one watching this game that is disappointed, like in the quality of the game, because it's going to be an amazing football game to watch. It won't be like last year.
Round 3? Is that round 3? Clemson, Alabama, if it happens?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It won't be like last year. So,
it's 1-1 right now. So, but hey, like Dabo said a few years ago, BYOG, bring your own guts, baby.
That's right.
Let's get it. Let's make it happen.
I love Dabo Swinney, man. He is such a good.
Oh yeah, he's your type of guy, Bobby. I know.
I love Dabo, man, and he really is. So that's funny that you said it, because like I love my Pete Carroll, I love my rah guys, and that's exactly what Dabo is. And I think that's, even if Lawrence isn't up to his full prestige and doesn't play his best game, I think Dabo is enough. I like Dabo better than Nick Saban as a football coach. So I think Dabo could take Alabama and game plan right. And even if Lawrence didn't play his best game, I still think Clemson wins this game. I just think they're better. Travis Etienne is a real running back.
But Swinney's wrong. He's wrong. He's wrong for saying that Lawrence should still win the Heisman, though. I disagree with that.
It's a perfect segue, Ray, because now that we've discussed the actual playoff,
it's almost like he's done this before.
Yeah, I mean, have you been practicing? Well, now let's talk. now let's talk a little bit about the Heisman, because I think that this is obviously this year again. It's just a weird year, right? And I think that for the first time in a long time that there is a chance that a wide receiver could win the Heisman. I think it would be the first time since 1991. Is that Desmond Howard? Is that right? So
is that 91 is when he won the Heisman?
Yep. Yeah.
I think if Devonta Smith from Alabama, if he wins it, he'd be the first non quarterback since Derrick Henry in 2015. Right? Is that right? It feels right.
Yes.
And the first wide receiver in the last 29 years. So for you, and I'll start with you, Ray, because you offered me that excellent segue. Who's your Heisman winner and why?
So objectively, Kyle Trask. Objectively, because I'm always said by subjectively, because not object, no, maybe it was a Freudian slip. I guess I go make Bobby a sandwich. Listen to that interview. It'll be in the show notes. But okay, I'd like to say Kyle Trask to me was awesome, but he's not going to win it with him having 3 losses. So, I do think it would be because Mac Jones is a finalist too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think he'll probably end up getting it. They're not going to give it to Devonta Smith only because he just won Player of the Year, and usually when they do that, it's like, we'll just give him this because he's not going to end up winning the Heisman. So they do the same thing in the NFL, he got the AP Player of the Year. That means he's not that person's not getting the MVP award. So. So they don't usually double up like that. So I think Mac Jones gets it. Like Mike alluded to, they are the best duo. I'm choking as I say that because it makes me sick to say it. But they have been the best duo in all of college football. So we have to be objective on here and not subjective. So
you can be whatever you want. I'm just going to call you on your bullshit.
No. That's fine. But like I said, I'm already emotional about. Florida not doing much when it mattered at the end, but it is what it is. But no, Mac Jones deserves it. So the headlines in Tuscaloosa can be returning to Mac when he wins it.
Wouldn't it make sense though for you? Kyle Trask, right? 46 total touchdowns, 43 throwing, 4,100 yards passing, averaging just under 400 yards passing per game. That feels like. There is a compelling case. I think, again, this is the year. Because I want to jump you, Bobby. I think that you're just going to – I think you have a little bit different of a take than I have. I hope that you do. If you don't, then we can just cut this out in post. I think Devonta Smith should be the guy. I think for a guy that has 17 touchdowns in the season, but 13 of those 17 came in the final 6 games after the other wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, went out. So he stepped up. He was and is – if not the number one reason, the number 1A reason as to why this Alabama team is where it is. My thought, my guess, my hope is that Devonta Smith is the Heisman winner this year. Bobby, you?
So I love Devonta Smith. I think he's going to be a comparable wide receiver to what we've been seeing out of like DK Metcalf in the NFL. Where that rookie year, he's gonna just wreck in the NFL. However, I think Mac Brown deserves that Heisman. I really do. Or Mac Jones. Why do I keep fucking up the last name?
Texas.
Mac Brown, right? I think Mac Jones deserves that Heisman because like we've been seeing, it is always the quarterback that wins that Heisman. And to lead your team in such a crazy 2020 to a dominant number one seed and a team that everyone's going to vote for the Heisman winner. I just think that it just seems chalk that he's going to win. It's just the way that the Heisman voters go. You know what I mean? You have the best team in the country with the best quarterback in the country with the best statistical season.
He's not the best quarterback in the country.
But statistically right now he is. Besides Kyle Trask.
Right.
So besides because Kyle Trask isn't going to win. You know what I mean? You look at 11-0, Alabama, number one, about to win the national championship in the college football playoffs. It's just the way that the Heisman voters vote. Joe Burrow won it. Kyler Murray won it. Baker Mayfield won it. All these guys were competing for the national championship, and their quarterbacks. It's gonna be Mac Jones.
What I will say about the evolution of the offense for Alabama, and this is the case that if I were voting for Mac Jones, I would make to everybody else there, is there's only been 10 times in Alabama's history where a quarterback has thrown for more than 400 yards. Right? Mac Jones has 4 of them this year. I mean, and if you want to add on to it, he has 18 touchdowns and 3 picks against ranked opponents this year.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke how good he's been. Once again, I mean, I know, there's a team up in Foxborough that needs a quarterback severely. So
on the Kyle Trask point, right?
But, we'll see.
Is he not Tim Tebow that can throw? Is that not what Kyle Trask is? That's what he looks like to me when you watch him.
He's not. I mean, he's built. He's 6'5". 240, and you got me going there for a second. It's just amazing to me that he was on the bench because Felipe Franks sucked. He blows. He was awful.
Can he go under center, or is he? Or can he not?
He can do both. He's better.
He's one up on Tebow already.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But which hurts me to say that because we also share the same birthday. But Tebow's my guy. But
I do love Tebow.
Yeah,
you guys remember my Tebow face?
Me, I felt like Trash really reminded me of Drew Bledsoe, but with legs. Like I said, he's built like him, 6'5", 240, can throw it all over the field. Clearly, I said when you get 44 touchdowns. And granted, he's not going to run just because he can run like when he needs to, right? So, to me, I guess now the modern day comparison, because I said, like, oh, who's Drew Bledsoe? If you're not, I mean, granted, we're a New England show, so people know who the hell he is. But if for the younger fans who never saw that number 11 play, you just saw the quarterback I'm going to compare him to. You just saw him wax the Patriots last night, and that's Josh Allen. That's who he's like. He's just like Josh Allen, and if that's the case, we'll be back on top very soon. You heard it here first.
So I have Devonta Smith. You have Mac Jones.
Yeah, Mac Jones.
Yep. Unfortunately, but yep.
So we're all going Alabama. I'm just the contrarian as always, picking the wide receiver, which would be the first one, as I said, since 1991 to do it.
He's favored, by the way. Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is the right now odds-on favorite.
I'm telling y'all, because he got the Player of the Year, I don't see him getting both. It'd be cool to see that happen because, like you said, since 91, hopefully he's a better pro than Desmond Howard was. Because my God,
Super Bowl MVP
to get picked 5th overall by Detroit and do nothing. I mean, he was a Super Bowl MVP, but that's because he ran a
and then got paid bank by Oakland.
Yeah, exactly, and did nothing after that, but. Sorry, dark
rabbit hole.
Right, rabbit hole. Right. Yeah. So
Before we create you guys a show, let's go ahead and end this one. So for the real BK, Bob Kelly, Rayshon Buchanan, the greatest EP in all the land, Craig D'Alessandro, this is Michael Marcangelo saying thank you so much for listening to Missing the Point College Football Edition. We will talk to you later.
Introducing the Deep Leadership Podcast. Leadership is a people business. That's the philosophy of your podcast host, John Rennie. As a former submarine officer who spent 22 years leading businesses in corporate America before starting his own manufacturing business, he knows that leadership matters. Deep Leadership is real-world, actionable leadership advice from John and his expert guests. Become a leader worth following. Subscribe today.
Electricast.
Hey there, fabulous souls. I'm Stephanie Baklaan.
And I'm Eden Alpert.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Unapologetically Fab.
Get ready to join us on an amazing and real journey as we dive into life after 40 and own it.
We're all about changing the narrative, leaning into who you are, and living a life by your own design.
Join us as we embrace life unapologetically and redefine success.
This is Unapologetically Fab,
an Electricast production.
See you there.
Electricast. Electricast.